What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Should have liked and sub, and let's get into this. Super glad Drinker did a video on this because I hear conflicting things every single day, back and forth from trusted sources, known, unknown. It seems like a lot of Hollywood, or at least more than you would think, is in fact changing course, either because the money has dried up or they've just realized facts that it's not working. They tried it, and there's other parts that they're just going to keep doubling down, and no matter how much, and I guess they can tank all the losses. So super interested to see what Drinker has to say about this whole thing. But is the timeline healing? Let's find out.
You know, it really is funny, the things you learn when you're on open bar. There we were on Thursday night chatting away about the box office success of Deadpool and Wolverine and whether it might inspire a change of creative direction at Marvel when Chris Gore just casually dropped in this little bombshell.
I do know people who work at Marvel. They have cleaned house. They quietly months ago fired all the producers that could be labeled activist.
That could be labeled activists doesn't mean there aren't still activists there that flew under the radar. Chris has been saying this for longer than just open bars. He played this on Versus. As he points out, open bars are a bit bigger than Film Threat, even if you know what it is. The point is, this is now making all the rounds, even though, like Chris said, this happened months ago. And I would argue this maybe even started when Victoria Alonso got fired.
Really?
Yes. Unlike Lucasfilm is lost. They're lost.
Right.
That's it. They are doubling down on all the nonsense, right? You will never get anything good out of Lucasfilm and Star Wars. That's it. Kevin Feige recognizes he even I'm not gonna say exactly. Basically, he said that we tried it didn't work. He's talking about phase 4.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. We tried it, didn't work. No Kang, none of these side characters that.
And Kevin has come out saying that they have no plans for Eternals 2. We saw a little bit of news of maybe She-Hulk was getting a season 2, but that all turned about to just be a producer supposing about what it would be, not actual confirmation of a second season. And look, the mere fact that a Deadpool and Wolverine was greenlit and then allowed to make the jokes that they made, the bringing back of Robert Downey Jr. and the Russo brothers, for good or ill, you can't say there's not even a little attempt to course correct, because we could be getting Marvels 2, Eternals 2, She-Hulk. You get the idea.
Don't have the legacy of classic characters. And if Deadpool and Wolverine proves anything, you've heard that phrase, male and pale is stale. That was spoken aloud across studios. But if you look at box office this year, I would say male and pale is money.
In the quiet words of the Virgin Mary, come again.
In short, it seems that Marvel are getting a bit tired of losing billions of dollars and turning their own fans against them by trying to inject the message into what used to be crowd-pleasing general-purpose entertainment, and are quietly changing course. And the first step down that path is to clean house behind the scenes, getting rid of the activists and the idiots that have derailed so many projects.
I would say this still leaves you with people that don't know the comics and at best were there because they were the right checkbox at the time. So that they still need to now go on a massive rehiring or hiring campaign of everyone that actually knows the comics or actually knows how to make TV and movies.
Since Endgame. I mean, it only took them like 5 years to recognize a problem that people like me have been pointing out since 2019, but hey, better late than never, I guess. And damn man, they really flew under the radar with this one. I had no idea this had been going on until Chris brought it up, and I suspect that was the intention all along. But the more I think about it, the more sense it actually makes. Big companies like Disney, Marvel aren't in the habit of straight up admitting that they've screwed up and need to take drastic action to undo it all.
Because that would mean we were right. The hateful bigots and racists, at least that's what they call us, would be right. That's why it's so surprising if, at least on the Disney Star Wars part, is not, doubling down. Be prepared for an Acolyte season 2. To cancel it would be to confirm the fact of what we're saying, that it's horrible and had horrible ratings.
Instead, like any good politician that can see the way the winds are blowing these days, what they actually do is quietly change position, and if anyone questions them on it, they just claim that this is what they always believed. But this little revelation does tie in with a growing trend I've noticed in movies this year, a shift away from overt politicization and divisive pandering, and a renewed focus on more universal crowd-pleasing entertainment. For example, Lee Chung, the director of Twisters, straight up admitted that he refused to put any references to climate change into his movie because he believes films like this should be about entertainment.
Oh, and thank God, because one of the big things everyone pointed out in Aquaman 2 was just the straight up fossil fuel analogy that they had. Green smoke, like literally green smoke. It was a little on the nose.
Not lecturing people. There is absolutely no way a director would have had the balls to say something like that even a couple of years ago. Not just that, but the movie dares to show both the male and female leads as competent, intelligent, and courageous individuals, complementing rather than competing against each other, with only one side ever allowed to come out on top. Inside Out 2, by all accounts, largely steers clear of any political pandering and messaging, and with more than $1.5 billion at the box office, it represents a surprising return to form for Pixar.
All you have to do is not preach and or say a bunch of weird ass messaging to the children.
After disastrous failures like Elemental and Lightyear, both of which were criticized for indulging in heavy-handed identity politics. Oh my goodness, it's almost as if people just want fun, escapist entertainment that lets them forget their troubles for a couple of hours, and if you actually give it to them, then they'll turn up for your movie in droves.
Saw Deadpool and Wolverine 3 times.
Case in point, Deadpool and Wolverine, which has only been out for like 2 weekends and is already well on its way towards $1 billion. And strangely enough, it's a movie that flat out ignores and even rejects most of the tedious tropes of modern Marvel movies.
Ironically, it does some of the tropes, but it acknowledges it's doing it and makes fun of it and then still executes it, but not like the painful trope. I know what he's saying though.
The insufferable know-it-all girl bosses who are always the best at everything, the awkward current day-isms, and the clumsy attempts to replace legacy characters with more diverse alternatives.
Yeah, thank God it is done. And the one race swap that I did see, I don't think anyone noticed because I've had to point it out on multiple streams, but everyone that thinks it's Blade from the TV show, it's actually the Bullseye from the Daredevil Ben Affleck movies, but he's race swapped. It's a black bald dude instead of Colin Farrell, but he's got the same scarification Bullseye symbol, and he's got the. But so yeah, they've done tropes, but they did not do any of the shitty ones that Marvel has been known for, and oh, so good.
For the most part, it's just a fun, irreverent, old-fashioned superhero movie, and whatever its shortcomings compared to its predecessors, it's still miles more entertaining than anything else Marvel have produced in recent years. Jesus, it even has the balls to openly mock the MCU's recent string of failures, which is a pretty frank admission from Marvel that they know they've fucked up. Many a truth is spoken in jest, as they say, and this is one truth that they've ignored for far too long. Also, if I had to take a wild guess, I'd say that the rumours of a resurgent DC under James Gunn might have factored into their change of direction as well. The message and the culture surrounding it are the kind of things you can only afford to indulge as long as you're on top.
Yeah, and make no mistake, Gunn will have plenty of messaging. We've already seen him race swap certain characters. Look at who they've got for Booster Gold. That should tell you how accurate he's going with some characters. That being said, yeah, he still has to execute one good Superman movie. And God help us with what they do with Fantastic Four. And God help us with this Captain America 4, who's been reshot to hell and they have to make almost $1 billion just to break even.
When there's nobody to challenge you and audiences are so loyal to your brand that they'll keep paying for it even when it leaves an increasingly sour taste in their mouth. That time has long since passed, both for Marvel and for Hollywood in general, and it seems like they all know it. Add all these different factors up, the purge of activist producers at Marvel, the string of well-received and politically neutral summer movies, the thinly veiled admission that a change of course is needed, and it actually seems that Hollywood might be learning from their mistakes at last. Their solution might be happening quietly, discreetly, behind closed doors, but it is happening all the same.
And also, even though we're making fun of it, or like at least pointing out the fact that they're even bothering to spend time reshooting movies and TV shows and trying instead of just going out there and giving these addicts anything, that is something.
The message that's blighted entertainment for the better part of a decade is finally dying. Not with a bang, but with a whimper. So what does the future hold for Marvel and the rest of Hollywood? Can we look forward to a new golden age of entertainment free from the message? Well, maybe in the long term, but as Chris Gore pointed out on Open Bar, movies take years to get from concept to completion, and there's an awful lot of crap in the pipeline that still has to be shit out first before we can get to the better stuff. And it's always worth remembering that the message is far from the only problem with modern entertainment.
To be fair, it's only 2 movies and 2 TV shows. Captain America 4, Thunderbolts, and then Agatha All Along, and Ironheart. I'm trying to block it out because everyone keeps forgetting it exists. But yeah, they got to skate quickly over that ice.
And removing it won't suddenly make everything amazing again. Madam Web, for example, had no real political axe to grind, but it was still a horrendously written, shoddily directed, and badly acted disaster that shamed the very concept of superhero movies. A lot of work still needs to be done to get things back on track, and most of it doesn't involve just firing people who have been causing trouble behind the scenes. And even when that better stuff finally comes around, the sad reality is that a good chunk of the audience will have grown up and moved on to other things, and they won't be coming back. I don't think the MCU is ever going to be the insane money-printing machine that it was back in the late 2010s when billion-dollar movies became a routine occurrence, but I think it can still be a viable franchise with enough work, especially if they can get their ridiculous budgets under control again. As for the rest, well, some studios are going to cling to the old ways until the bitter end, even
Kathleen is never leaving. She's never leaving.
if it means burning down every single IP that they own. And yes, I'm looking at you, Lucasfilm, but one way or another, the end is coming no matter how much they refuse to acknowledge it. The message and the people who pushed it into every single thing that they made is finally on the way out. And good fucking riddance. Believe me, you won't be missed. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
And just to sum this up of what they actually need to do to really turn this around and get even a shadow of their former self, they need to have a profitable or at least break even Captain America 4, Thunderbolts. They have to have a non-offensive Agatha All Along and Ironheart that at the very least we forget about, like with Echo. Then they have to give a Fantastic Four where Pedro is a leading man and not shown up by the Invisible Woman. You got female Silver Surfer, right? Possibly that's where Robert Downey Jr. Doom shows up. They got to have a Fantastic Four. Then you got to have good both Doomsday Wars and Secret Wars. Then once that's all done and it's goddamn 2030 something, you maybe will have a good X-Men and Avengers all recast with all the characters brought back. Good luck. I'll see you in the 2030s, and then we'll find out if there's a chance that it's saved. Meanwhile, over on DCU, James Gunn just has to make one damn Superman movie that's good. Just one. Then we'll talk. Other than that, I don't want to hear nothing from no one. Anyway, let me know what you think of this. Make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you. And
Well, bye.